Hello, everyone. This is Fadi. I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of this series on Islam and atheism. In the last few videos, we have been using examples from Muhammad's own moral actions, or in this case, immoral behavior, to draw attention to that and correlate that to the notion that some of our Muslim friends are considering to become atheists. And yet the reason for that oftentimes is their trouble, or at least they are feeling troubled, I should say, by the actions of the Prophet of Islam. And that in and of itself can create tension between how can you have a moral standard to judge the action of the Prophet, and at the same time you gravitate towards a worldview like atheism at the same time. With me here, no other than Dr. David Wood, who is definitely the expert when it comes to atheism, given that he himself lived it and is now a follower of our Lord Jesus Christ. And he's been doing an amazing work, of course, in his own ministry, and we're delighted to have him here with us in studio. David, welcome back, brother.
Good to be here.
Thank you for all the examples that we've been unpacking so far. Today, you have yet another exciting one. Which one is that?
Yeah, this is a little lesser known fact about Muhammad than something like Aisha or Muhammad and Zainab, his adopted son's wife that he married. This is about Muhammad's relationship with Sauda, which has a lot to do with the idea of being committed to a woman in Islam. And so the historical background here is that Muhammad was married to Sauda early on. So after Khadija died, as Khadija's his first wife. After Khadija died, Muhammad's next two wives were Aisha and Sauda. And Sauda was significantly older than Aisha. But as time went on, she became older and older and heavier and heavier. Aisha called her a very large woman. Now what happened was Sauda realized that Muhammad was going to divorce her, right? Because he had all of these other wives. He's marrying some of the most beautiful women in Arabia, and he's going to divorce her so that he doesn't have to keep spending time with his older, less attractive wife, and he can spend time with, younger wife like Aisha, or right, a far more attractive woman like Zainab and the others. And so,
and we're talking about the man who's classified as mercy to mankind.
Yeah, mercy to all mankind.
Yeah.
And so she starts fearing that Muhammad's going to divorce her because Muhammad had received a revelation, Surah 33, which said that no one's allowed to marry Muhammad's wives after him. Right, so she basically would have been a widow, and he would have given her something for the divorce and so on. But she understands she's about to be off on her own in her old age, and she didn't like this idea. So she came to Muhammad and said, "I have a proposal. Don't divorce me, and you don't have to spend any time with me. So don't divorce me. Continue letting me, have my house and stuff like that, and you don't have to visit me or have sex with me or anything else. In fact, the night that is dedicated to me," because Muhammad would dedicate a different night to each of his wives. "The night that you would normally dedicate to me, I give that night to you to spend with Aisha." So instead
it's all about sex here.
Yeah. So instead of having his time, because Muhammad would divide up his time, would try to divide up the nights equally so that he's spending an equal amount of time with each wife. And now she says, well, if you don't divorce me, you keep me, you can use my night for Aisha, and so now you get to spend twice as much time with Aisha as you do with any of your other wives. Mom would say, well, Aisha is my favorite wife, so that's a pretty good deal.
Wow, good sexual deal for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what happens is Muhammad agrees, he remains married to Sauda, but he doesn't visit her on her night anymore. Instead, he spends more time with his child bride, Aisha. So that's the historical background. Disturbing part here is that Allah blesses the whole situation, right? Allah really likes this arrangement that they came to. So let's go ahead and turn to the Quran and see Allah's response to this situation. So this is Surah 4, verses 128 to 130. If a wife fears cruelty or desertion on her husband's part. Notice, so this is talking about Sauda. If a wife fears cruelty or desertion on her husband's part. This is talking about Sauda. So this is Sauda fearing cruelty and desertion from who? From Muhammad.
Do women really who are married have to fear desertion?
You shouldn't fear that, right? Especially if your husband is the greatest pattern of conduct ever, right?
Exactly.
You should never have to fear cruelty or desertion from him. And notice, if you did fear him, if you did fear that, and you were to come to him and say, look, Muhammad, I feel like you're going to divorce me because I'm older and less attractive, and you're not happy spending time with me, and you want to spend time with your younger, more beautiful wives. I understand that. So let's make an arrangement here. The response should be, what are you talking about? I made a commitment to you. I'm your husband. I'm going to be faithful to you until the day I die. Nothing would change that. Nothing would change my faithfulness. You would expect the greatest man who ever lived to respond like that when a wife is fearing cruelty and desertion from him.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. And that's the problem. I mean, I'm glad we brought up this example because here is what's at stake right now. You have the model for mankind, the role model for his own Islamic community and the believers. Here is a husband who is telling the other men in his community, it's okay for you to feel like, tired of staying with a certain wife just because, excuse in this case, what? Didn't say that she was misbehaving, didn't say that she wasn't really a good mother or a good wife or whatever the cause might be. Even if with that, what about just trying to work it out? But nevertheless, just because she's getting old, getting heavier, you're thinking what? Sex. She caught it. She understood what was going on here. So she offered him the night to enjoy sex with a young one. I mean, it's all about lust and sexual desires, nothing more than that.
That's the story of Muhammad's life right there. All right, let's go back to the passage and then see what Allah's response is. So, if a wife fears cruelty or desertion on her husband's part, and we all understand that, the correct response is not for the husband to rush in and say, no, I'm not going to be cruel or desert you. That's not the response. There is no blame on them if they arrange an amicable settlement between themselves. So if a wife fears cruelty or desertion from her husband, there's no blame on her if she sort of runs to her husband and tries to come to an agreement. Hey, don't desert me. Don't be cruel to me. I want to make a deal. And such settlement is best. Notice Allah says it's best. If you fear cruelty or desertion from your husband, in this case, Muhammad, it's good that you go and make a deal with him. It's good for you to go and make a deal with him, even though men's souls are swayed by greed. But if you do good and practice self-restraint, Allah is well acquainted with all that you do. You are never able to be fair. So now we have the comment to Muslim men. You are never able to be fair and just between women, even if it is your ardent desire. Notice he says you can't be fair. You're never going to be fair. So you have this idea that you're supposed to be fair to your wives, and then Allah is saying, so notice, Muhammad's dividing up these nights and stuff because he's trying to treat these wives equally. And Allah's response is, you're never going to be able to be fair, right? So he's acknowledging the agreement that they've come to. Yeah, we understand you were trying to, treat, Aisha on par with these other wives, and you're still trying to be fair to Sauda and so on, but come on, you can't be fair to all your wives, even if you're trying. So give that up. All right, let's finish the verses. But turn not away from a woman altogether, so as to leave her, as it were, hanging in the air. So don't just completely abandon her if she's willing to come to an agreement. If you come to a friendly understanding and practice self-restraint, Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. But if they disagree and must part, Allah will provide abundance for all from His all-reaching bounty. For Allah is He that cares for all and is wise. So notice, hey, it's in your best interest to come to some sort of agreement, and Allah likes that. But if someone disagrees, then, don't worry, Allah can take care of everyone. So if Sauda had some sort of problem with the agreement, or Muhammad had some sort of a problem with the agreement, don't worry that she's not even allowed to get married after being married to Muhammad. Allah will take care of her.
Yeah, what a chauvinistic God. I mean, it's an amazing God for sure, I can see why Aisha was disturbed by this God who responds to his prophet immediately. How does this apply then to our supposed atheist friends?
Well, this is yet another example of Muhammad just constantly receiving revelations that have no purpose other than justifying his immoral behavior, right? Over and over and over again. And this again is why Aisha recognized it. Aisha saw it. She said, your Lord hastens to satisfy your wishes and desires. Meaning every time Muhammad wants something, he gets this revelation. He gets a special revelation. And so lots of Muslims who start recognizing these facts about Muhammad, your average Muslim who hears this is going to try and justify it somehow. He's going to try and explain it away. Well, your average Muslim has never heard this before, right? He's never read the passage in the Quran. Your average Muslim doesn't read the Quran much. Two, even if he reads the Quran, he won't know what this story is about. You have to go to outside sources and so on. So your average Muslim, if he's familiar with this story at all, he's heard it from us. He's heard it from someone like us, because we're the ones who go to their sources and tell them what's in the sources. Their leaders do not do this. So they get their information from us. And your average Muslim who hears it from us is going to try and reconcile it and justify it and so on. But some Muslims are going to look at this and go, gosh, it's Muhammad and Muhammad has a child bride, a little girl. He climbs on top of a little girl, and he takes the wife of his own adopted son, and he tells his followers they can have only 4 wives, but he gets more. Here, he's got a wife who's terrified that he's about to divorce and desert her, and she doesn't know how she's going to make a living in her old age. And she comes to Muhammad to try and plead with him. Hey, please don't divorce me. Muhammad's response should have been, what are you talking about? I'm not going to divorce you. What are you even talking about? But instead of that, Muhammad receives a revelation saying, good job coming to an agreement to allow Muhammad, my prophet, to have more sex with his child bride and not visit you at all anymore. Good job. Good job taking that initiative and going and making a deal on, to keep him from divorcing you. Lots of Muslims will look at that and say there's something horribly, horribly wrong going on here. You should be, the greatest moral example ever should be treating his wife better than this. The greatest moral example in history should not be receiving revelations that tell him to act in this way. And so this will be part of the reason that Muslims will leave Islam. But as we continue pointing out, for Muslims who leave Islam and become atheists, how then do they continue condemning Muhammad's behavior when there's no foundation in atheism for condemning that sort of behavior? In other words, if you think about what we are given atheism, right? We are as Richard Dawkins has said, we're machines for propagating DNA. That's what we are. Human beings have inside ourselves deoxyribonucleic acid, and that sort of programs the rest of us, programs our body to become a machine for replicating more copies of itself. That's our real purpose in life. We can have other limited purposes. We can get jobs or find causes to fight for and so on. But our main purpose is propagating DNA. So if that's what you are, given atheism, what sense does it make to say that this machine for propagating DNA shouldn't divorce this other machine for propagating DNA just because, even though he's old and she's becoming less attractive and he wants to focus on his younger wives? What sense does it make to say that's somehow really, really wrong? You can say that you personally don't like it. You can say that you personally would treat your wife better than that. You can say that you personally think men in general should treat their wives better than this, but you can't say there's anything actually objectively, morally wrong with that behavior. And so we just find this over and over again. You've got Muslims who are recognizing all the horrible and atrocious things Muhammad did. They're saying there's no way this guy can be a prophet when he did all of these horrible, immoral things. They leave Islam. Many of them become atheists, not realizing that in becoming an atheist, there went your reasons for rejecting him as a prophet.
Exactly.
You're rejecting him as a prophet because of his moral behavior, but now your objections to his immoral behavior make no sense given your worldview. And so we say to our atheist friends, guys, you need a new worldview. If your worldview cannot allow you to say that this man should not be having sex with a little girl, shouldn't be throwing his wife, under the bus just because she got older, guess what? That's going to happen. That this guy shouldn't be taking the wife of his own adopted son. If your worldview does not allow you any basis for condemning that sort of behavior, you need a new worldview, and it ain't atheism.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, the best worldview ever is to follow our Lord Jesus Christ. Let's see what Jesus himself said about the institution of marriage. He says, the one who made them, speaking about male and female, Adam and Eve, man and woman, the one who made them said, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. See, marriage in the eyes of God is not a temporary one. It's a commitment, a lifelong commitment. And then he proceeded to say later, what God has joined together, let no man separate, set asunder. This is the highest moral standard. That's the marriage that a wife should feel secure through, not worried and concerned about her look, about her weight, about her size, and about a husband who supposedly is the model to mankind in terms of mercy and how he should behave towards others. Give me a break. What kind of mercy is this that he's abandoning a woman, especially in those days, that she rightfully, has the right, I should say, to be concerned because no one is going to take care of her. No one is going to basically provide for her. So she was out of desperation, willing to go the extra mile just to satisfy the lust of this model over the fact that she was going to be in trouble, and probably she would have reverted to basically prostitution to live and survive. Anything else you want to add to this, brother? And what other examples, for instance, that are in the hopper for us?
We continue going down the line of Muhammad's behavior with his wives and so on. But we're about to take a look at his relationship with a slave girl. Did you know that Muhammad had a sexual relationship with a slave girl?
Have you guys caught the theme? It's all about women and Muhammad so far. Well, thank you, brother, and thank you, everybody. Until we meet again, have a blessed day. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. We can't make these quality videos without the help of partners like you. So please consider becoming a Patreon supporter today at patreon.com/CIRA International. I want to make sure you always get notified when we release a new video. So please click the bell to be notified. And of course, make sure to subscribe to this channel. If this video was helpful to you, please click the thumbs up. Thank you.